16th, 2023, Township of Hamilton Committee to order. Please rise for the flag salute. Mr. Shanker.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building, by faxing notice of this meeting to the Press of Atlantic City and Star Ledger on January the 6th, 2023, and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and Star Ledger on January 9th, 2023. Mr. Cheek?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Shanker?
Here.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Here.
Mayor Patali?
Here. Moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. Guest presentations, we have none. Addition, deletion, late agenda, we have none. Early public comment on agenda items, excluding items listed for public hearing.
We have Bruce Drive for 3C.
Bruce Drive for 3C.
Good afternoon, Mayor. I would respectfully urge the committee, when considering the an amendment to the ordinance, to change the designation of all the different districts that are either prohibited or permitted with conditions to specifically just the industrial business park to prohibited uses for simply the following reasons. Based on the proximity of the cannabis-related businesses to 3 schools, 3 drug rehab centers, churches, government facilities, and residential areas. I think the cannabis, all 6 classes, because of their proximity, should be prohibited. And I respectfully ask that you consider prohibiting that use in the industrial park. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it. Moving on, discussion items. 3A, discussion. Amendment to the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee resolution. I was contacted by the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, the chairman, Diane, and she's having a problem with not enough people have signed up for this committee. And one of the, well, I believe there's 2 problems. One of the problems is it's required that a member from Fairways, a member from Tavistock, and a member from Woods Landing be there. And right now we only have 1 from Woods Landing, and we have nobody that wanted to come and join from Tavistock or the Fairways, I believe it is.
No, you have Bill Schmidt from Fairways.
Okay, so Bill Schmidt's from Fairways,
And,
so
from
Tavistock and
Tavistock.
Woods Landing is empty.
Yes.
So I would like to take those 3 and have them as just citizen representatives and try to get more people to join. Another issue that I see is there is an age restriction to be on this committee, and that is you have to be 55 or older. I think it should be open up to anybody 18 and older. If you want to come out and you want to help the senior citizens, why do you have to be 55 and older? Diane basically told me that she has no help. So if we can get her some help and keep this working, keep this moving forward, I think this is the best way to do it. So does anybody from committee have any comment?
I have a comment, Mayor.
Sure.
The term ends in December.
Yes.
So, and I see there's a resolution on the agenda to appoint someone, so it's just for 2 months.
It would just be for 2 months,
And
yes.
then in January, we would start all over.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, this committee it's yearly. They're all just 1-year terms. But I know Terry Mattici, she put her application in right away as soon as I kind of got the word out that we were looking for people. I also have one other person who's interested. He didn't turn in an application because he's not 55, so I won't mention his name. So there are obviously 2 people that are interested, and hopefully we can get some more people interested and get Diane some help.
Originally, when this was passed, there was a great argument about whether people should be over 55, and I felt that should not be the case. And so people over 18 would have just as much interest in the senior advisory as anyone else. So I do agree with Carl in that it should be opened up, and also open up these requirements from the different, over 50 representatives, because we need some really good blood in there, and the seniors deserve a lot of attention. So I would definitely agree with Carl on that. It would be, so if we have any applications, we can vote on them next time.
I have a comment on that, though. I mean, I understand that we want to open it up, but if it's a senior citizen advisory committee, the ages should be somewhere close to, I'm not saying it has to stop at 55, but I think 18 is a little too young to be on the senior citizen committee. That's my opinion. Because, most of the senior citizens that I know got grandkids that are 18, so, the ones that I know,
Well,
But I just don't think that, I'm not against it being open up and maybe dropping the age down, but I think 18 is just a little too young to be on the senior citizen committee. This is not a biblical thing. He called the young because they're strong, but he called the old because they know the way. So I just think 18 is just a little too young. But that's my opinion. It's just a discussion.
And I would think that people who put in their applications, I think obviously we would, I would take age into consideration. And if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, there'd be 7 openings, and if we have 11 people, I would lean towards the older ones. Only because, like you said, that's the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. But I don't want to I also, we're having a tough time filling all of our boards. It's not easy at all. So to handcuff them and say you have to be above 55, that's kind of tough.
how about above 21?
Well, you don't become a senior citizen until you turn 55, You start getting your AARP card when you're 50. So, I think it should be around there.
Well, the flip coin of that is a lot of younger people are helping their elderly through, volunteering to go and help them if they need help to go from one doctor to another. They're advocating for them. They really do, if they're really interested in this, they really have a insight. So that's why I think it should be available to younger people as well.
Mr. Mayor, I think that, first of all, Diane Fox does a fantastic job.
Yes, she
and
does.
has done a fantastic job for quite some time. She's asking for help. So I really think that we need to make this as open as possible to get her that help, to keep the Senior Citizens Advisory Board active. It's very important. They do a lot of good things. But when they do these activities and events, they need hands on deck. And whether those hands are 55 or 25, I don't think it really matters.
The other thing that the advisory committees receive no help financially to promote their ideas. And I understand, why is that so? Because a lot of things, well, you can get them on the internet and blah, blah, blah. But it takes, if there's a mailing, you have to have the stamps, you have to have the material. And I think this is one of the things that has prohibited the advisory committee to really be as successful as they can. Now, when they went to the Hamilton Mall, it was great. They had a great response there. But then in future years, they wanted them to be insured. And, in case anyone fell or whatever. And so they couldn't afford to have their senior advisory insured. So that sort of, took away that idea of going to the Hamilton Mall. So there's a lot of things that I think should be worked out as far as the parameters of the senior advisory committee. Or maybe there should be a separate club that could actually raise money and do some really good things for the seniors. Have have shared use of the what was before the senior citizen center, and so that you could invite seniors to do, have a lunch, go and have a day of recreation. I know it's available, but if you don't have any money, what can you do? So that was my feeling as far as the senior advisory committee. So first of all, let's get some people out there, and maybe we can do some more things for our seniors, which everyone comes up to me and says, oh my goodness, EHT has such a fantastic facility, and we have none. What is the problem here? So this is something to consider.
I'd like to make a motion that we change the resolution, amend the resolution, removing the three representatives from the Fairways, Tavistock, Woods Landing, and replace them with regular citizen representatives, and also changing the age to 18 and above.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Did you get that, Rita?
I did. I don't have a resolution.
Can we
Can
we have that
I
for the
can-
next meeting?
you want to put it on the next
Can
meeting?
we do that?
We can do that. I can wing it. Solicitor, Mr. Solicitor, you have a resolution, or I can read you from my notes?
I do not have a resolution.
You want me to read what I have from my notes?
Sure.
This is what I got. Let me know. Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton that the membership of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee be amended to consist of the following: 7 members appointed by the Township Committee who shall be residents of the Township of Hamilton. Yes, you still want that. Of any age is what I had. You want of over 18. Members shall be appointed annually on or about January 1 by resolution. Be it further resolved that the requirement that members be 55 or over, and any requirement that certain members reside in 55 and older communities is hereby repealed. If that's okay, then
I love it.
we can vote on that
Well,
now.
Rita,
So you didn't
Rita.
have a resolution.
I was writing
That's
while
what-
you were speaking. I was taking notes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So we could do it now then.
We can. I can do a roll call
Yeah.
right now if you'd like.
The efficiency of this is amazing. Thank you.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
No.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no. Motion carries.
Thank you. 3B, 2023 Best Practice Inventory. Brett, you want to give us a little background?
Every year we have to do a best practices inventory. There's 67 questions, 3 categories that deal with ethics, personnel, budget, finance administration, capital progress, capital projects, and transparency, et cetera, et cetera. Township scored 41 out of the 48. Basically, we submitted, and we will get our state aid based on our submission. So, as a formality, we have to go before the governing body and report back to you on our progress.
Okay. So, do I have a
I have a couple.
Motion.
motion?
I motion. Second.
Motion and a second?
Then we can have some discussion.
Sure.
I had several questions on this best practice inventory. Well, I understand now that this is a state form because there was no reference on the document where this form came from. So
Which-
am I right to say it's a state? Because I see the NJA, I see different
Sure.
things cited. I'm assuming it's the state form.
It's administered through the DCA.
DCA. All right, on certain things, we have 50% on as opposed to
One or
one, right? Like, for instance, on page 2, has your municipality created an accumulated absence liability trust fund? Only answer NA if your municipality does not offer employees payouts upon retirement. Accumulated sick, no current employees has a grandfather right to sick leave or payouts upon retirement. So on this, some of these things I didn't quite understand. I thought we had payouts, but we don't.
Excuse me?
We do?
You don't have what?
Payouts,
payouts for retirement.
Well,
retirement.
when the law came into effect in 2010, under Governor Christie, there was a change in employees, but employees hired prior to that time, there were the ability to keep what was earned up at that point in time into a frozen bank. So there still are some people who were hired prior to the law that would be entitled to some payout.
Because they were grandfathered.
Yes.
All right, page 14, there was no answer on number 48.
Question is, does your municipality currently have an unlicensed individual serving as an acting municipal clerk, temporary chief municipal financial officer, temporary purchasing agent, and/or temporary public works manager? The answer should be no.
All right, so that needs to be filled in. Because I'm assuming that this document is going to be submitted.
Yes.
Right. And then
Oh, that's
one more question. I have several, but I'm going to end it on one. Page 18, number 62. Elections Transparency Act. We don't have any pay-to-play laws.
Are you going by the number of the
Page
question?
18, number 62 at the top is the question. I'm sorry, I wasn't clear.
What number is it?
Page 18 and number 62.
Oh, no, okay. See, the pages are
known
not
as the Elections
consecutive.
Transparency Act, made various significant changes to the New Jersey's pay-to-play laws. One of these changes is the prohibition on opposing pay-to-play provisions that are more restrictive than those in the state law. So I was looking at this. This is non-applicable. We don't have that. What does that mean?
NA indicates that our municipality does not have any local pay-to-play restrictions on the books.
That's
why we
correct. And so
chose.
I didn't understand why we didn't.
Cindy,
We had before.
When the law was enacted, it gave the ability for the municipality to make something more restrictive than what the state law is. The Township of Hamilton doesn't have something more restrictive than the township,
Why not?
because they don't. The governing body didn't want to do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, that was, when was that, what was that enforced? I know it was quite a while ago.
I don't remember when the law came in play, early 2000s, I believe. Yeah.
Around, okay.
Okay. All right, that's very interesting. And number 63, does your municipality feature a link on its website to the Division of Taxation Property Tax Relief Program webpage? And we only had 50%.
Some of the questions are only worth a half a point. That's the full value. So some of them are core competencies, and they're equal to 1 point, and some of the best practices ones are equal to a half a point. So we're receiving the fullest value that we possibly can on those.
So
You either get a half a point or nothing.
my question is, do we have, because we have high taxes in the state of New Jersey, we raise taxes here,
That link is on our website, yes.
right? So, okay, because it makes it seem like it's not, like it's half of it's there, half of a point is linked to the website. So if people had issues with the taxation or whatever, it's linked to our website.
Yes, that link is posted on our website. That's the requirement.
All right. That's it for me.
Council, on the pay-to-pay play ban first came out, there's several of them, there's 3 of them, but 2004 and 2005 were the. You asked when it came into play.
2000.
Yeah, to pay to
That's when
play.
the statute came into play,
But
2004. and
how is it that the state has a statute and the municipality doesn't?
we do. It's just not more restrictive than the states. We follow the state guidelines. It's not more restrictive.
All right, thank you.
I have a motion and a second, correct?
Yes.
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes, and carried.
3C, proposed modification to the draft ordinance amending ordinance 1963-2021 as amended by ordinance 1989-2002 and 2023-2022, and to establish redevelopment project review processes.
Mr. Mayor, I'll recuse myself.
Okay. So as he fills move down to the hot seat,
In the line of fire, yes, sir.
yes, we had a meeting last week, the subcommittee. You want to go through what was discussed? and
Certainly.
Where we are right now?
Just to recap, at the last Township Committee meeting, the proposed ordinance was tabled, referred back to the redevelopment subcommittee for further review. And we met last Tuesday evening and came up with 4 changes to the ordinance that have been previously submitted. First, with the licensing in general. The total number of licenses would remain at 14, but there will be an adjustment increasing the number of cultivator licenses to 5 from the original proposal of 4, and reducing the number of Class 5 retailer licenses to 3. Second is an increase in the distance separation required between a Class 5 retail and a school from 1,000 feet to 2,500 feet. Third would be to delete classified retail as a use allowed in the IBP zone. And finally, we would include language either in the ordinance or on the flow chart requiring entities that receive endorsement to provide progress reports at least every 180 days or risk their endorsement being rescinded by the governing body. Again, one of the things that we've run into is that we probably have about 4 or 5 endorsements out there where we're not hearing from people, and miscommunication, trying to call them, not getting messages back. So putting this in there gives us some leverage to make sure that at least once a year, twice a year, we hear from these folks as far as their progress on the on getting their licensing and then moving forward towards their redevelopment approval and ultimately development of the project.
Very good.
So there was contact made with everybody who has an application now?
Yes, letters were sent out.
And did we get any responses?
We've received one back from Waves of Green, which is in the business park, and they've indicated that they are actively moving on their project. I just got that response today via email. We'll be following up to schedule them to provide committee with an update and start the process for setting up the escrow agreement, negotiating the redevelopment agreement, et cetera. Move through there.
Okay, so there's how many others besides the 2 that are the one you just described and the one we dealt with last month or last couple of weeks ago? Excuse me.
I know letters were sent out to Waves of Green, ENV Growers, Canna Grove, and Sipcoy.
So there's 3 more?
3 more, yes.
That we don't know their status.
We haven't heard back from yet.
So those 3, are they over a year since they had their approval?
3 of them are, yes. Or 2 out of the 3 are. ENV Growers and Canna Grove both were in the summer of '22.
Okay, so how long are we now? I mean, we're talking about adding these changes here. You're talking 180 days. These people have been well over a year.
Well, you didn't have
So
that
if we'd have
before.
passed this, does that mean that we then notify those 3 businesses that they're going to be rescinded?
That would be it's an option for the committee. Again, our intent is to reach out to them, find out if they're moving forward. If they aren't, the recommendation is coming immediately to rescind at your earliest convenience. If they are working on moving forward, then it's to get them in here before you provide any update needed and start through the process and then follow that 180-day timeline.
But as we sit right now, we can't even get them to respond to an email or a phone call.
I think, when did the letters go out?
They went out last week. So,
I guess what I'm asking is, if we don't hear from them by this 2 weeks from now at our next meeting, is it time to
oh yeah.
cut bait? So they would be on our agenda to rescind their
Yes.
approval. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
When this law was done from the state, how did it get into the industrial park I mean, how did the cannabis, who decided where the cannabis was going to be? Who decided that?
Committee did.
The governing body, Township
Government
Committee.
Body.
So they decided.
Yes.
And the other question I had was, in the zoning districts on this document,
Yes.
it has a lot of letters, and it doesn't really have locations. It's like AG FA-10. I don't know what that is.
You have to go to the
No.
zoning.
Huh?
Nothing.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, if you've been on committee for a long time, perhaps you know. But I don't even know where this is zoned because there's been a lot of issues that it was in the industrial park because it's near a school. So I just wanted to know, how did it get there? You know, I mean, who voted for it? So the committee voted for it.
Right. When the committee adopted the ordinance
Right.
to regulate locally, the Township Committee are the ones that designated what zoning districts and the number of licenses. Currently, it's the number of licenses in each zone.
Right.
With this amendment, it's just going to be, here's our total number of licenses, and you're allowed to do it in these zoning districts. Had the township not taken any action to either regulate location or to say we don't want to have it here at all,
Right.
I think automatically under the state statute and the regulations, it would have been a permitted conditional use in any industrial district for the manufacturing end of it, and retail would have automatically been allowed as a conditional use in any commercial zone in the township.
Concur.
All right.
Right. So that's correct. Just one more question. The cultivated license,
Yes,
that's in the industrial park?
yes.
Also, right? So we're talking about smell, because that's been a big issue that I've been hearing. Even with it being 2,500 feet, if we go along with this, will people still smell it?
They're not supposed to.
Supposed to.
The way the law is set up, it's the operator's responsibility to maintain that there should be no detectable odor at the property line. And they're required under our licensing ordinance to regularly take measurements around their property lines to verify that they're not violating that.
I do appreciate the effort that you and the committee has made, because 81 licenses was too many. So we're down to what, you say 14?
14.
All right, thank you.
Well, that in a sense was what they had to do in order to go ahead with the state, the 81. But in review of the closeness to the business park, to all the different entities, our public school, ACCIT, the John Brooks Recovery Center, the methadone, it seems to me as though the business park should not be a place where cannabis should go. It seems really contra to most of the places that allow cannabis and its proximity to the schools. So I would definitely eliminate the cannabis licenses in all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 under the business park. That would be 6 licenses.
Can we do that?
It's already in the ordinance, right? That was already voted on by the committee?
No,
Yeah,
you didn't.
right now, that's
Wait.
the ordinance. It can be in the industrial park.
Right.
We're
So
working through,
we're working through it, right?
The ordinance has
Well,
already
you
been
can
established the way that it
remove
is
those
currently.
under this ordinance change.
I'm just trying to understand it. Was it already an ordinance for it to be in the park. And
Yes.
everybody's saying yes.
Yes.
Well, that was 2022. That was
Which was
the
last year.
original. That was the original ordinance in 2021, 22. But upon further review, we're seeing a lot of people being very concerned about the proximity of these cannabis entities being near or close to our schools. So, you know,
I understand.
you can vote either way
No, I
to
understand
accept what they have here.
I understand what you're saying, but what I was trying to say, if it was an ordinance, would we, this here is amending the ordinance?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, this is amending the ordinance that the Township Committee in 2022 voted to have there.
Correct.
Right.
It's looking to go, what's on the table for consideration is, for instance, moving retail from 4 to 3 locations. So that's what's on the table right now.
Can you explain to me how it came to 81? Because when that ordinance was proposed by our redevelopment attorneys, I just don't understand how 81 entities were approved.
Well, based on my review of the record, again, I wasn't here at the time, so I had to go back through and try to reconstruct things. When the ordinance was first adopted in 2021, I believe 32 licenses were allowed.
Correct.
Subsequent to that, in 2022, it was amended to increase it significantly to 69 licenses. And finally, at the end of last year, I think as a result of some concerns and questions the Pinelands Commission had with specifically the uses in the highway commercial zone, they revised it to try to satisfy the Pinelands standards, but at the same time, that's where they increased it to another, I think they had another 16 licenses.
To 81.
To 81. So through the 3 stages, that's how it increased.
And to be clear, there was no, at the beginning,
Was there any?
there was no real direction from the state as to how it was going to look in any municipality. All the state did was pass a law to say that either you can accept and put some controls on it, or say no, and then you're going to be subject to whatever the normal commercial regulations would be, and for retail and manufacturing.
Well, I still think that a business park is not a great place to have the different types of cannabis, and I would like to strike those from the zoning districts allowed.
That raises a question, and that raises a problem.
What's that?
Since when Township Committee said that they were going to allow for the cannabis, they allowed all 6 classes of license. And once you did that, you have to make allowances to have all 6 classes of licenses until 2026. Currently, the wholesaler and distributors are only permitted in the business park. So that would require, significant amount of, trying to come up with alternate locations for that.
I thought we weren't allowed to have any retail license in the business
The recommendation is to delete the retail license from the business park, yes, but still you have,
Wholesaler. and
growers.
Class 3 and 4.
Right, classes 1 through 4 and class 6 as uses allowed in the business park. So we would have to come up with, if you want to strike any cannabis facility from being in a business park, we'd have to come up with alternate locations, which may or may not be
Acceptable.
acceptable, yes.
I just have one question, and I know you wasn't here, neither was I. Were there any type of public input or meetings with the public with this? You know, like, 'cause in other districts or other, I'm not comparing to other ones, they had like public meetings with the public. Did we do that here in Hamilton Township?
It was done by an ordinance, so we had a discussion like this, an introduction, and a public hearing for each of these. So we had 3 different changes, so there was 6 different times it came to the public.
Plus, I would add that since it involved land use, it was also referred to the planning board for their review.
Okay. And they agreed to everything.
Well, yeah. The original change in making all Hamilton Township under redevelopment originated in 2018, and then everything thereafter referred to that, especially the cannabis ordinances. So that seemed to open a door to a lot of these different areas. So I think we've been sort of misled in that. But I still stand that I feel as though the business park is not appropriate for these different types of cannabis.
I think we have to remember these cannabis, the cultivators, manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, they're not allowed to advertise that it's a cannabis building, I believe is what the law says. They can have their name.
That's about it.
And that's it. So that's why it was discussed in our subcommittee about retail. Obviously, retail, you're going to know what's going on there. And listening to the public and kind of going through everything about how close it was to schools and everything. And I didn't want it to be, I wanted it 1,000 feet property line to property line. I voted no on this ordinance back then when it was changed to 1,000 feet building to building. So that was one of my, I thought it's got to be 1,000 feet away from schools and churches. And I think that's a fair thing to do. After more discussion in our last meeting, we decided to go up to 2,500 feet, and I'm okay with that, taking it to 2,500 feet. But I just want people to remember that these buildings that may be going into the industrial park, and it is an industrial park, we're trying desperately to get businesses in there. It's been a struggle. Over since 2019, I think we sold 3 properties since 2019. Before that, I think the last property that was sold was, I want to say 2011. So it was a very long time where there's been no movement in there. So the state allowed cannabis. In 2021, we looked at it and said, we think it can go into the industrial park. That was a good place for it. Like, of course, looking back, hindsight's 2020. Retail, not a good spot for it. But I think the other ones, as long as all the rules are followed and everything is done the way it's supposed to be, and there shouldn't be any odor, and if there is an odor, that's why it's under a redevelopment agreement. They have to come back every year for a license. So if they are a problem business and we see that they keep failing, having issues, then we just don't give them their license. I see what is hopefully our first cannabis business opening very soon, and he's well aware of that rule, so they know if they're a problem business, they're not going to get their license renewed. So we do have that in our back pocket. But that's not to say, I'm speaking, I'm one person, I'm not all five, or all four, however things shake out with if Rich can vote on this or whatever, however this shakes out. But, obviously this isn't ready to be voted on yet. It's not ready to be introduced. Phil has a lot of work that he has to put together, has to have it gone over by, our redevelopment attorney, going over by a regular solicitor, and then the plan is hopefully to introduce it in our November meeting, because we only have one meeting in November. But I'm hearing what everybody says. I'm listening to Dr. Witherspoon and Mrs. Link. Art's a little quiet down there, but he gets in my ear many other days. So
I'm just looking at, and going back to what was said earlier, it looks to me, I wasn't up here when all this transpired, but I can see where it looks to me like there was an effort to put it in the industrial park to help sell the property and have some kind of growth there. This is the one thing everybody's got to keep in mind. This is new to everyone. This is something that, at this point when this was done, there was no guideline, nothing to go by. And so I'm not going to sit up here and say this was right, wrong, or indifferent, but we do have to look at this and say what's right and what is wrong now, because we have a little more education. There are facilities out there that we can look at. We are seeing some of the pros and cons of it, so we can make an educated decision now. The one question I have about, is it Siscoid? Is that how they say it?
Sipcoid.
Sipcoid?
Yes.
God, where do they get these names at? So they currently just have an approval, which is the first step,
Correct.
right? So they're with the state now looking for state approval. This will now change. They're the only retailer that
Correct.
we're looking at in the industrial park currently. And so how does this affect, if we were to pass this, are they grandfathered or are they out?
I guess the first thing is we need to find out if they are indeed moving forward. And if they are, then we could probably add language in there similar to what we have for the identifying for setbacks of the some of the other uses from schools. I think it was the 1,000-foot separation requirement that we have. I mean, even with 1,000 feet, probably two of the growers that are in there would probably be too close to a school or a church. So in the preliminary draft that we had circulated previously, we had put language in there specifically identifying who the potential licensee is, the property location, and basically, grandfathering those sites in. If
Currently, are we building anything into this right now that has to do with licensees out there or applications out there that may or may not?
I think you are, in
Or
the
not.
sense that part of what was recommended was progress reports every 180 days. Or they could risk having their endorsements rescinded. So if that were the case, that's not in an ordinance now.
That
So
doesn't mean we can't rescind, correct?
depends how they got in under the ordinance at that time. By putting this in, obviously it wasn't in a prior ordinance, and so you're looking to put this in as a limitation because you weren't expecting that when the original ordinance was there. So therefore, until you put this in, that person would not have had notice that there is now an ordinance requirement. So just based off
Yeah.
of what it would be, this ordinance with that language would have to be in place. That individual would have to be noticed that this is the new ordinance and they'd have to comply before you then rescinded that.
So the letter we sent him is worthless?
You don't have anything to back that up. All you're doing with the letter is asking them to reply.
So they could be out there and...
At this point in time, there's no restriction.
So the other thing I'm curious about is the, most of the times when the industrial park does a deal on land, they put a time limit on it. Is that the case with these particular pieces of property?
It would
Cannabis didn't get a time limit like everybody else that buys
it
property?
would seem that there was not a time limit put on it.
So they would be grandfathered in, we wouldn't even have to put the wording in there. Is that what I'm being
Well-
told?
Well, no, I think
No.
that once you put an ordinance out and they're noticed of the fact that they have 180 days in which to reply, you can't put it in and say, you've been out 180 days as a day one after the ordinance, now you're out of compliance. You would have to give them the 180 days in which,
But I think
After
what,
this
I
is
think
passed.
what you're talking about, though, is particularly with that one entity, since we're discussing eliminating that class of license.
Yes.
We would have to write into the ordinance a specific grandfathering clause or exemption allowing them to be in the park, if they're moving forward with the project, which is what
that
we're...
would be correct.
But we gave them a deadline to reply to the letter that we sent out, right, Phil?
Yeah.
What was that? What was the deadline? 2 weeks?
I believe so, wasn't it? Yeah.
So if they don't respond in 2 weeks, then we can put it on the agenda to rescind their endorsement.
Are we good to do that? So I feel like I'm getting mixed messages here.
Yeah, I don't know if you are, because I don't know if a letter in itself, based off the prior ordinance, would do that. I do know that if you adopt this ordinance, it says there's a limitation and it can be rescinded, establishes that timeline.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of retail in the industrial park. I'll be very open about it. I don't think it's a good place for it. I don't think it should be there. I don't know how it ever got on this list, but that's past history. So what I'm driving at is, how do we get out of it?
I mean, I will say a conservative, from a conservative point of view, that would be to pass an ordinance that has that limitation and move forward with it. Indicate by letter that this is the ordinance and this is the notice. And if they stay to form, they probably won't respond. And you don't badger them. You wait for the 180 days.
But the way this is written here, it doesn't say in 180 days, it says if you don't report in 180 days, you'll risk recession of the endorsement. It doesn't say 180 days, you will be rescinded.
Risk, no, but that would be,
That gives
that
us
would
the
always,
window?
that would give you the window to allow the committee to make that decision to rescind.
Okay.
And this is a discussion. You can write it in however you want to write it in.
Yeah.
So if you want to say in 180 days,
You're
we'll
out?
rescind your local endorsement, we're discussing it. We can write it in. That's what you want.
I would always caution any committee that when you have absolute language, you're going to live by absolute language.
Okay.
You know, I always feel that having the ability to assess at the time that action could occur is always better. You may still come up with the same decision, but it gives you, you know, by doing it the other way and saying you're absolutely done, that gives you no leadway at all.
So the chart that we put together, Phil, is still not in the ordinance yet.
Has not been adopted as ordinance, no. It's in the draft.
Put this chart in that ordinance, and you have all those little stop signs where it says we can say no, say, we're done. Because we don't have that right now, we can't. That's another thing that's handcuffing us.
Correct.
Okay. So I think,
Could
I think personally, I think that, we need to move forward with some of this because time is just creeping by. And to have something in there, I'm not saying it's enough, it's just to get some stuff changed in there to get this to be more under our control is more important than trying to find every little nuance, because we're going to find more and more as this goes on. Because you're already looking at a few months that'll go by before we get this thing nailed down. And I personally would like the 180-day clock to start today, but that's impossible. And also, the longer we wait on this chart, it's worthless to us. We spent a lot of time working on this to try and control. I think in the very beginning, when Township Committee decided to put this into the redevelopment ordinance, was probably one of the best ideas they had, because it gives you the ability to say no.
Correct.
It controls, it gets to this point here where everybody comes and gives their opinion, and you can say no. It doesn't matter who they are or where they are, what number license they are or whatever. We can say no to them. And I feel like, we need to do a better job vetting this out, each individual company. So as much as I know I tabled this last meeting and am looking for every little thing that we can do to make this better and make it more, make it better for us as a town, I don't know that I want to waste any more time. I want to move forward and get this stuff that we've developed, which I think is all good stuff, and get it in there. And we can always come back and revisit this. That's the beauty of this ordinance. You can come back and change. You can remove more if you want. And I want to say one other thing. You see 14 licenses here. That doesn't mean we have to give out 14 licenses. That does not mean that. That means they're available. That doesn't mean we have to give them out. Because my personal opinion on this is I feel like there's going to be a time when this is going to reach its peak, and that's going to be the end of it. It's going to saturate, and it's going to be sooner than later. I've talked to some folks who opened businesses recently, and they're not seeing what they thought they were going to see, and it's going to plateau itself, which is fine by me.
And there are some municipalities that don't have a maximum.
Is this just a discussion to be moved into an ordinance for the next meeting?
Yes, because Phil has a lot of work to do.
All right, thank you.
So in other words, we're going to table this again?
Well, I don't know if we would be tabling it. I don't think it's been untabled. It's just here for discussion.
Yeah, to bring everybody up to date with after our last subcommittee meeting, which was last week, some new things that were discussed. To bring everybody up to date with that. So, any other discussion with this?
Well, can
Moving
I ask
on?
this question? I mean, if the committee wants to move forward with this as we sit right now, is this the time where we bring it off the table, or we have to put it on the agenda for next meeting?
I think at this point in time, it's not in a format that would allow you
Have
to
to.
take a vote on it. I think we'd
Okay.
have to get it in a format that would make some
Okay.
sense
All right,
for you to take a vote.
that's fine.
And I would, from my standpoint, I would urge more flexibility to be granted to the council on this, because this is a very new entity.
Yes.
And anything new, what we know from history, is that there will be mutations and changes, of which you are going to need the authority on this dais to be able to change with any mutation that comes up. And that's not box ourselves in to this is so rigid where this is where it has to be.
I agree. Any more discussion? Moving on. Welcome back. Thank you. 3D, resolution conditionally approving the application submitted by Hello High Dispensary LLC for a Class 5 retail local cannabis license. Phil?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hello High Dispensary LLC, previously known as Royal Highness, did submit their application in September for their retail license. And that application and the documentation, which was very thorough and very detailed, was reviewed for, did they address all the requirements of our licensing ordinance, specifically Article 4, Section D, 1 through 13, and also, which they did. As I said, in detail. In addition to reviewing the information in their license, I also went back and reviewed some of their items against their testimony and their submissions to the planning board. And all across the board, it was very consistent. The information that was given to the planning board, the information they were telling us probably 6 months ago when you were here last, Adam, is the same thing that's in the license package. I did have the chief of police review their security plan, and his comment was it meets or exceeds, the state requirements. Very detailed, very thorough license, and really the only reason why we're recommending it as a conditional license is we're sort of in a chicken and egg situation. The state needs our license to be in hand in order to issue their final license, and our ordinance as written says they should have their state license. So our recommendation is that it be issued conditioned upon receiving the state license, and I believe the resolution is worded so that Rita could issue that license immediately upon receipt of her copy of the state license, and that the two licenses would run concurrently. So that if he gets a state license on Halloween, or November 1st, our license would run the same time, so that he when he submits to the state for his renewal, because that has to be 90 days in advance, he would be submitting to us for his renewal at the same time. So we'll always be working on the same time schedule.
Okay.
Is there any questions?
Why is the business address in Hamilton?
That's the mailing address.
The mailing address?
Yes.
I do have an issue based on your letter with the deficiency.
Pardon?
On your letter dated October the 12th,
Yeah.
paragraph 2,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it says, this review has found that the application materials provided satisfactorily address almost
Yes.
all of the requirements of the ordinance. The only deficiency is the absence of the final state license. So
Right.
why would we be approving it before the state license?
Because he can't get a state license until he gets his local license. As I said, it's a catch-22 situation.
Because we say, our ordinance.
Our ordinance says he's got to have the state license. The
State license, right.
Yeah, and the state says you got to have your local license. So it's again.
So we need to change our ordinance.
We need to change
Yeah,
the ordinance.
we need to change the
in order
ordinance
make
to
this-
show that,
Right.
and put wording in there that, our license would run concurrent, but they should have to demonstrate they've made application, yes.
Right. I would think that we should change the ordinance.
Yeah.
And then I would feel more comfortable.
We can do that.
This is just a discussion also, though.
No, this is for his license.
This is
This is for his license.
So if we do this without changing our ordinance, we wouldn't be in compliance.
We're allowed to issue conditional licenses under the provisions of the ordinance. And specifically, it says under the item, again, it's section D5, a copy of the state license. If no state license has been issued, the applicant may submit proof of application for a state license and may request that the local license be conditionally approved, conditioned upon receipt of a state license. So that's the situation we're in. The application's been filed. I know from some of the texts and emails I've seen from Adam, they've had their state inspections, and the state paperwork is being processed, so that,
I'm fine with all of that. It's
Yeah.
just that our ordinance
yeah.
state, this is what I'm having the issue with.
Our ordinance allows us to issue him a conditional license, so, as it reads now.
You have a copy? Thanks.
Phil, which copy of the ordinance you reading from?
The adopted copy.
2021.
2050 of 2023, yes.
Chuck, I think it'd be that, yeah.
You have it in front of you?
You want to show it to her?
You just show it to me, and I'm all right.
Just see that.
I just want to see
part
it.
of the ordinance.
I just want to see that part, because I knew what the other part said.
Yeah, that's okay.
Here's a copy.
What page is it? Okay, I'm fine. All right, let's see. I'm good. I got it.
Let me see as well.
Thank you.
What the hell?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're looking at one of the amendments.
Okay. All right.
So that needs to be changed.
No. Yeah. 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 Okay. Ms. Witherspoon, also in the resolution that you have, item 1, the last sentence says the annual local Class 5 license shall be issued upon approval of the annual state license.
All right, thank you. I'm good.
That's
I won't issue it until I get the state license. That's right in the resolution, plus I promise.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay, we have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek,
Abstain.
Mrs. Link,
yes.
Mr. Schenker,
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon,
Yes.
Mayor Patali.
Yes, congratulations.
4 yes, 1 abstention, motion carries.
We probably will be watching very carefully that you,
To say the least.
adhere to all the rules.
Moving on. We have no adoption of ordinances. Introduction of ordinances. We have 5A, Introduction Ordinance 2055-2023, an ordinance authorizing the sale of lots 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and Block 504 as shown on the tax map, Township of Hamilton, and granting to the owner or owners of said real property contiguous to same the right to prior refusal to purchase such land in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second.
This
This is a public hearing?
Nope.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's an introduction. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and introduced.
5B, Ordinance 2056-2023, an ordinance vacate a portion of 30th Street. So this was previously discussed and approved to move forward back in May of 2023. Since that date, the applicant has paid the $500 fee and provided the meets bounds description.
Motion.
I have a motion. I'll second it.
Any question?
Go ahead.
Is this the backup with the survey?
What I gave you was the meets and bounds
Yes.
and the request and a colored map.
That's the backup.
That's the back. That was the original backup from May, but it was so long since you've seen it that I gave it to you again this
Thank
evening,
you.
Dr. Witherspoon.
I'm
Yes.
good.
There is no obstruction as far as ingress and egress for other property owners.
There's a township paper street remains between the two lots.
Okay.
And I believe it is this person's intention is to buy those township lots.
That's what we heard.
Any comment?
No comment.
Mr. Engineer?
I looked at it and everything looked fine. We'll wait to see if
Okay.
they want to.
So it's
So we have a motion and a second.
You do.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and introduced.
Moving on, 6A, resolution authorizing option year number 1 for turf maintenance services bid 2023-01 to True Green LP, Thoroughfare, New Jersey, and the amount not to exceed $21,436.51. Hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Question.
Go ahead.
The markup for the material seems to be excessive at 41.9%. And when I looked at other markups that are on this agenda, it was at 10 and 15 and 20%. Why is this 41.9%? And I even Googled it, but you can't just go on Google because I know state contracts and all of this, but it seems a little excessive at 41.9%.
It is. And we will not be using the additional work at $100 an hour or the additional materials outlined in the bid as we haven't in the last 2 years.
I think
This
we
came up-
discussed this last
came up
time, and we
last
decided
time.
next time this goes out to bid, we're probably not even going to put that stuff on there, correct?
That's what we said.
That was discussed.
But if we approve it under this way, it leaves the 41.9% in there.
If we choose to use the additional work, but we have not use them for additional work beyond what we've bid in the past, and I don't see why we would.
Use it, but I would like to see it striked out, because if you leave it here and we approve it under that, it leaves it open for them to get it at 41.9% markup.
Dr. Witherspoon, it's
Yes.
been like this for like 2 years, and they don't use, they do the contract price and that's it. After that, they do the rest in-house, correct?
Correct.
I understand.
Yeah.
But what I've learned
Yeah.
is if it's in black and white, if it's not in black and white, it didn't happen. So that's still standing there, even though they didn't use it, it gives them the ability, if we had to use it, to get the markup at 41.9%.
Brett, this is,
Can we strike
this is an
that?
option on an existing contract, is it not?
Yes.
So we can't change it.
I don't see how we can change it.
I don't know how we passed that.
So you either pick up the option or you put it out to bid.
Correct.
It was passed 4-1. You voted no.
Oh, I did vote no. Okay, well, I'm going to vote no again. Go ahead. I'm going to do it
Could
again.
have saved us a lot of time.
Okay.
I'm consistent.
Yes, you did vote no.
All right, I'm good.
But yeah, like I said, it was discussed, and
Okay.
the next time it goes out to bid, we're going to look at removing that, so
Okay.
it's not an issue, if at all possible. I don't know if we can or
And
not.
I was told that they would remove me when I was the public works director if we used the option.
Yes.
So
we either
I guess
remove
We
that's-
did, we removed you.
You were removed.
Instead of Brent, it's Mr. Tilly now.
Chris is like, whatever. All right, do we have a motion in a second? I don't remember.
Do.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Schenker,
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon,
No.
Mayor Patali.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no, motion carries.
6B, resolution authorizing the first year extension for bid 2022-10 as needed licensed plumbing services to Northeast Plumbing Services LLC, Williamsdale, New Jersey, for an amount not to exceed $5,000, effective January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024.
So moved.
I have a motion.
I did. Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek,
I abstain due to the fact we're in the same Mechanical Contractors Association.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Schenker,
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon.
Yes.
Mayor Patali.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstain, motion carries.
6C, resolution authorizing the second year option bid 2022-09 HVAC services to Peterson Service Company of Medford, New Jersey, in the amount not to exceed $96,254.00, effective January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek,
I abstain due to the fact that we are in the same Mechanical Contractors Association.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Schenker,
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon.
Yes.
Mayor Patali.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstain, motion carries.
Resolution authorizing option year number 2, extension for animal control services, RFP 2022-02 to Animal Control of South Jersey, Egg Harbor, New Jersey, in the amount of $35,940.00, beginning January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024.
So
So
moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Schenker,
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon.
Yes.
Mayor Patali.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
6E, resolution to award second-year extension of bid 2021-11 janitorial services to Offshore Carpet Cleaning LLC of Linwood, New Jersey, for a not-to-exceed amount of $47,169.00 and $189.00 per visit for biohazard cleaning for the period of 1/1/2024 through 12/31/2024.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Question.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to know how many biohazard cleanings have we had?
That was probably more during the COVID.
That's more of a police question.
Oh,
to be
the
honest.
chief
Yeah,
is
let
here.
the chief come up.
That's the police.
If he doesn't go over a certain amount of biohazard.
We're all stumped here. So let me explain what a biohazard
I know.
cleaning is. So if someone throws up in a car, if there's blood or
Right,
something like that,
right.
we'll call them, they'll come out and
Right.
they'll clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess,
Mm-hmm.
12 a year.
Okay,
Is that good?
that's fine. I just wanted to
I wish
know.
I had an exact
I
number
used to
for
work
you,
for
but
ACPD.
It doesn't happen all the time,
Oh, right.
but it does happen.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's all. I
Now,
wanted.
if it happens like 15 times this year, I don't want anybody to be upset.
No, next year.
All right, no, that's it.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
6F, resolution renewing commodity resale agreement for snow removal chemicals with Atlantic County Institute of Technology, ACIT, for the period October 1, 2023 through April 30, 2024.
I think. Okay, I have to
We
wait.
have to have a,
Question. I just think the paperwork needs. I have to wait till you properly move to second.
Have a motion?
So move.
second.
Motion and a second.
I just think that the paperwork for the agreements just need to be switched between F and G.
What do you mean?
On the 6F, we said this was for ACIT,
And then the second one's for Hamilton Township Board of Ed.
right? And this one has the Hamilton Board of Ed paperwork attached.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just need to be
Yeah,
switched.
just the,
The agreements.
contract or whatever you want, the agreement.
Yeah.
Right.
It
It
should
just
be
says
switched.
switch the
That's all.
resolutions, right, yeah. There was one agenda request for 2 items. I knew it was gonna get messed up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it should be
We'll
switched.
fix that.
Yeah, that's all.
Errors and omissions.
Roll call vote, please. I'm,
Still
I thought
fixing
you were
it.
done.
I'm-
Praised you earlier.
Let me say. So this is for the ACIT. Okay. Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Resolution renewing commodity resale agreement for snow removal chemicals with with Hamilton Township Board of Education Schools, period October 1, 2023 through April 30th, 2024.
So move.
Second.
Motion to second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Resolution for change order number 1, leasing of temporary fuel tanks and the supply of gasoline on a month-to-month basis to Riggins Incorporated of Vineland, New Jersey for an additional $60,000. Brett, you want to give us a little background or?
We're getting really close to the original not to exceed amount of $70,000. This is just proactive, anticipating till the end of the year.
How are things going with the new tanks and?
We ordered the new tanks. We're waiting on an update, a delivery update. But so far good with the temporary tank and getting the fueling done by Riggins. It's working out pretty good.
Okay.
This is just for the township. The outside agencies don't use these tanks.
Understood.
When do they predict that this, new tank will be available?
Can we request you give us an update at the next meeting? How's that? Instead of putting you on the spot right now.
Is,
We've been
our
asking,
agreement with
we've been
Atlantic.
asking for an update, so I can check on that and get back to you at the next meeting.
This is a shared service with Atlantic County. When are they going to reimburse us?
That was my question.
This part isn't. This is just for Hamilton Township.
Oh, okay.
Where are they getting their fuel from?
They have 2 other sites. They have a Northfield and a Hamilton location, which we use as well.
So they left us. They're not there.
They're not there.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
I don't have a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Carried.
Consent agenda. Anybody want to remove anything?
It's not that I want to remove it. I just had a question on, I think.
That was.
Hold on. Seven H.
So we'll remove 7H
Yeah, just temporarily. And I just wanted clarity on I.
and I.
Right.
So I'll make a motion, 7A through G and J.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against? So move to 7H, Chapter 159, resolution to insert item of revenue with offsetting appropriation for community development block grant in the amount of $632,444.47.
So we don't have any more. I know this is not like CDBG, right? But it's like the homeowner rehabilitation. We're using all of the monies from that to go to Underhill.
Brett?
Is this 2022 money or what?
We have a separate budget for that, Phil. That other budget line that we have, that trust account.
Cindy has it.
Okay.
The 2 years of the housing rehabilitation money is being rolled into, for Underhill Park. We do have approximately $58,000 in recapture funds. These funds are available for rehabbing home, small loans that the ACIA gives out for those rehabilitations. So we do feel that there are sufficient funds available in that fund, should we need them.
Okay, I'm saying this, but it's not. It's from between 2016 and 2022 allocations. It's not this year. It's old. That's all. I just wanted clarity.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm fine.
So there is going to be monies available for homeowner rehabilitation.
If necessary, yes.
Okay.
That was my only question.
So we have a motion to move 7H.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. 7I.
I just wanted clarity.
Resolution authorizing release of performance guarantee for Peter S. Taco Building and Remodeling, street opening permit in the amount of $12,528, as recommended by Township Engineer Robert Watkins. You have a question?
I just wanted some more clarity on it.
Nope.
I didn't really understand it because there was a lot of highlighted in like future
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what.
Correction, maintenance.
correction, maintenance, security is to be held. There is no bond. The performance of guaranteed maintenance. I mean, there was a lot. Yes,
So
there was a lot of stuff that was highlighted.
there's two, I guess, one cash escrow for the performance guarantee,
Right.
and then there was a cash escrow for maintenance. So we're only releasing the performance guarantee and keeping the maintenance for,
Oh, okay, keeping the
Maintenance bond will
1,000.
be held until next year.
correct. The maintenance will be held for another year,
Okay.
in case there's anything that's damaged on the roadway or the curbing or such.
Okay. That's it.
Okay?
Can you explain exactly where this is?
This is the Caring Project right across from Frankie's almost, or
And Cumberland Farms.
yeah,
whatever.
Cumberland
It's the
Farms.
2 houses that got
It's
built.
those 2 houses that were done, and there's really green grass growing
Oh, okay.
front. I mean, it's very nice looking, but yeah, that's where those 2 houses were built, and then they did some road openings.
On 50?
Yeah, on 50,
On 50,
between
they look alike, the houses.
yeah, 6th and 7th, or 5th and 6th. Yeah, 6th
Where?
and 7th. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Moving on. Personnel. Appointing member of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. We have the application for Teresa Elliott.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Um,
So now, a little bit of help for Diane. Appointment of Robert M. Maldonado as a full-time police officer for the police department.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm carried.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Maldonado. Approvals, minutes, regular meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2023.
Motion. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Bills, bill list total, $5,171,950.02.
So moved.
I have a motion. I'll second it. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes.
Mayor Patali?
Yes. Reports, Mr. Administrator.
I just wanted to quickly report that they have begun work at the powerhouse at the Lenape Dam. They're going to rehabilitate the gates there and use them during the construction of the new spillway. So as soon as they get those done, we can start work on the dam itself. And that's all I have.
Mr. Solicitor.
Happy.
Welcome aboard, by the way.
Excuse me.
This is Chuck Schlager, our new solicitor, I believe.
Have nothing to report, just happy to serve and to be of service.
Happy to have you. Thank you. Mr. Engineer.
Just a couple quick things on the construction side. Leapy Field Fieldhouse has started. The septic system or disposal field is completed at this point. They had started to excavate out the building footprint. They should be starting foundations on Wednesday and then continuing on. I haven't heard any delays, so you'll start seeing work. There is fencing around the building area to stay away from it. They put up like safety fence to keep out from that area. And also they started the the parking lot construction as well today. So that is also fenced off or directed for parking on the grass for the next week or so. They anticipate to have the paving done at the parking lot either by Friday or early next week, depending on when they get their stone in there for some parking spaces. So they are moving quickly with that. So we'll have a parking lot soon. That
Awesome.
be great. Yep. And then Hardings Lakes, Oliver, Liberty, and Nelson have been milled, and they will be start paving on Wednesday and be completed before Friday, as well as Crocus. So meeting the time frame before Halloween, I believe we're going to meet that. So,
Outstanding.
yeah. And that is
Okay.
all I have.
All right. Committee members. Let's see, we'll start with Dr. Witherspoon.
Okay, I do have a report. I did go to the Funny Farm on yesterday. It was my first time. And I did not know that she had so many animals. 750. I said we have our own little zoo, you know, but it's a great job that they were doing over there, rescuing animals and things of that nature. So I was glad to attend that because I had never seen that part of our township. Rode past it a lot on 40, saw signs but never went, and it was their fundraiser. So I did attend that on yesterday. I will be attending the Atlantic County League of Municipalities meeting in Summers Point on Friday. It's their last meeting of the year before the League of Municipalities conference, which is in November, which I meant to ask because inside our packets was a proposed membership dues. They had went up 2%. And I didn't know if we needed to do a resolution to cover that or for those that would be going to that in November.
The League of Municipalities.
I mean, are we going? I mean, I can't go because I'm not.
Whoever wanted to go signed up.
Right, but I'm saying about the membership dues that went up, and they wanted us to do I guess a resolution or something
That's next year.
for next year.
Yeah.
So we're cool. All right, that's it.
That's just for the membership.
I just wanted to make sure, you know, if I went to a class that I would be able to go.
You wouldn't be kicked out.
I wouldn't be kicked out. All right, so that's it. That's my report.
Okay, Mr. Cheek.
I really don't have anything to report. I just wish that everyone here votes on November 7th. We're all Americans. We have the right to vote. Please exercise your right to vote. That's it.
Mrs. Link.
I have a personal, concern. My sister and brother-in-law were scheduled to go to Israel this last Sunday. And they were to go on a motorcycle trip throughout Israel. And I was so happy to call my sister and say that she was still here and that she had not, they had not gone, because they could have been one of the ones that were kidnapped. And I had to cry, because when you think you're going to lose a sister or a brother to this awful, awful occurrence in Israel, it just was overwhelming. So thank God they're safe. And we pray for all those who were kidnapped, and hopefully they'll be able to get them back, the Americans. That's it.
That it? Mr. Shanker.
I'll hold my comments.
Okay. Let's see. Coming up, we got a lot of things going on. Coming up, we have the Ghost Walk on Friday. This Friday, October 20th. You got to get your tickets in advance. I believe that is Historical Society, correct? I'm looking for guidance. Nobody's helping me here. Look on Facebook. You'll figure it out. Halloween Parade, Monday, October 30th, 6:30, Main Street. So looking forward to that like we always do. So please be prepared. There's going to be traffic issues. Roads close at what time, Chief? 5 p.m. Use an alternate route. Okay. Halloween trick or treat will be on Tuesday night, the 31st, from 6 to 8 here in town. Hamilton Mall has a trick or treat on the 31st, on Tuesday the 31st, out at the mall from 4 to 6. So keep that in mind also. The Mays Landing Library is having a get-together for the kids on Friday, October 20th from 4 to 5. There is pre-registration for that. Go on to their website and you can do it there, or you can call them 609-625-2776. I did not make it out to the funny farm. I normally go, but Sherry has a bum knee, and I already pushed her all around Smithville, and I pushed her around out in Wheaton Glass, so I wasn't about to push her through all those places are paved. So I got to take a break. But sad I missed it. It looked like it was, I saw Thelma's pictures on Facebook and all the other stuff that they have out there, and it was, I'm sure it was very well attended, as always. There's been a lot of, not a lot, but I guess, yeah, we'll say a lot. Car thefts, people breaking into cars. So I'm just saying to everybody, use your head, lock your doors on your cars, don't leave your keys in it, be smart. They're looking for an easy thing to do. They're going around, they're jiggling to see if the doors are open, and then they're going to rummage through it. If you have lights outside, leave them on through the night. And as always, if you see something, say something. You know, you're driving around, you see somebody walking around at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're coming home from work or something, you know, make that phone call to town hall and have a police officer go check things out. Because that's, you know, they're betting on nobody saying anything, and that's, you know, help us help you.
If I could add to that, my daughter had her car stolen this weekend, 6:30 in the morning.
So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So just, you know, be smart. And of course, with Halloween, everybody pay attention on Halloween night. Please be careful. And hopefully everybody has a good time. And my normal ending is, hey, Reagan. There's my daughter, Reagan. And Maddie, I miss you and I love you and I hope to see you soon. So we will go ahead and open it up to the public. Please state your name and address.
Art Shanker, 608 Whispering Woods Court. I felt it was important that I stepped off the dais to talk about this. This is a flyer. You know, we're in silly season right now, so you'll see a lot of commercials on your television popping up, a lot of signs, a lot of things in your mailbox that you don't necessarily want, and I'm sorry, I'm sending a few of them. This is a flyer that circulated in a certain couple places in our town last week. And I won't get into what's on this flyer because most of it's lies anyway. But it does refer to our schools, the Hess School, Atlantic County Institute of Technology, and Special Services School. And on the bottom of this thing, it says, paid for by Lincoln Collette for Hamilton Township Committee. I don't have a problem with this kind of stuff if that's what you want to do. It's part of the game, the political game as they call it. It's just politics. But I do have a problem with it when it ends up in school parking lots, on school property. And I don't understand why anybody would do this. It's not only not a good idea, but it's not, I believe it's against the law. These flyers ended up at a school where they are now the prosecutor's office is doing an investigation. And I don't understand, in this day and age, when we have our children at a very young age learning what lockdowns are and shelter in place is, before they learn most anything else, that anybody would go on school property and distribute stuff like this. And unfortunately, this got into some students' hands. They don't even know what this issue is about. They have no clue what's going on here, but this, for some reason, somebody thought was a good idea to distribute at the schools. I don't know that most of those kids can vote, so I don't think it really had an impact. But I think it does have an impact on the parents and the grandparents that you basically sent a couple people to hand out these flyers when everybody else, including those parents and grandparents, have to go into the office to security to be checked in. And these folks went on site did what they had to do. And I believe that they knew what they were doing, because when they were approached by security, they jumped in their car and they took off. They knew what they were doing was wrong, but they did it anyway. So if I may, Mayor, I'd like to ask Committeeman Link who these people were, and if you know who they were, turn their names into the prosecutor's office so they can do their job and we can save the taxpayers a couple dollars and get their investigation over with. At least you owe these parents and the grandparents, the teachers, and everybody else involved in these schools an apology. This is a disgrace, and it has nothing to do with what's written on here.
Mayor, good evening.
Try. How are you?
For me?
All good?
I'm fine, thank you. On 6B, Mr. Cheek abstained from that vote and stated a reason why. On 6C, Mr. Cheek abstained and stated a reason why. On 3C, Mr. Cheek recused himself, stepped off the dais without stating a reason. On 3D, Mr. Cheek abstained without reason. During the discussion, Mr. Cheek had a sidebar conversation with the township attorney. I would just like that observation in the minutes and for the record. Thank you.
Okay.
Jerry Nelson, 6224 Cypress. I wanted to give an update of what's going on in our schools. Just so you guys know, we have Trunk or Treat coming up next weekend. We have one session already sold out. We have about 70 bands left over for the second session.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed that one. I'm sorry, my bad. What time is that on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is the 21st, and there's two sessions. I believe the first one is session 1, maybe 1 o'clock, and the second session's from 2:30 to 4. So I'm sorry, it's 1 to 2, and then 2:30 to 4.
And that's at Hess School?
At Hess parking
Gotcha.
lot, yeah. So if there's other people that want to participate and open up a trunk, I think they're still taking volunteers. I think it's like 800 pieces of candy, because there's two sets of 400 kids going through each. This year's the first year we've doubled it, because we always ran out of wristbands due to the requirements of us only allowing so many kids on, and to teacher ratio and all kinds of security issues. Then on top of that, this week is our School Violence Awareness Program and Safety. I wanted to kind of talk about, and Mr. Schenker kind of brought up, if anybody is going on scene to the schools for any reason whatsoever, if that is beyond going to the front office. The superintendent asked me this morning to publicly state that they should be going to the office, making the Board of Education aware of their presence, because that will trigger a lockdown if we have people walking through the parking lots doing whatever. Just for you guys' information, I'm on the school board. I went through fingerprint checking, background check, and I have to announce when I go on the to the school. And if I'm going in as a parent, I'm expected to follow all the same procedures as a parent would. I do have a badge, but I'm not allowed to use the badge unless I'm going there for official purposes. And if I do that, I have to make sure the school board and, more importantly, superintendent is aware of my presence at any one of the buildings. So that's how seriously they will take it, because we have kids in and out of the building all the time, and it will force a lockdown. And as you know, misinformation, lack of information is sometimes scarier than actually know what's going on. The kids, all they know is they've been getting yanked in from recess and being told to shelter in place. So I respectfully request that if anybody were to go out to the schools for any reason whatsoever, that they continue to follow the procedures, and to check in with the office and or the superintendent's office. Right? Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Committee, and public of Hamilton Township. I'm Bobby Laws, 1552 Newport. Two things. First of all, I'd like to say thanks for the effort that you guys are putting in to clear a lot of this stuff up with these ordinances, especially as it pertains to the businesses that we're bringing into Hamilton Township. It's necessary, and I think you guys are doing a great job of actually seeking it out. However, I want to clear a couple things up. Number one, I sit on the Industrial Commission. I have been there for about, I want to say almost 8 years now. I'm sorry, somewhere around there. It's been a while. And to a question that you asked, Mr. Schenker, about time limits, yeah, we did have limits on those property deals. But those deals were extended based on, I think it was the woodpecker sparrow.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and so some of those things were extended in order to get some of that stuff cleared up. But at the same time, a lot of companies actually deferred not to even go forward, because of it. So the delays, like you said, will cause some of these companies to dissipate, and we see that happening. Secondly, the Industrial Commission, our job isn't to promote or dictate what actually happens in the industrial park. You guys make those determinations. You set the law, you set the rules. We just follow it, right? So if you say that there are supposed to be 1,000, feet between a school or church or and cannabis, our job is just to make sure that anybody that comes in is adhering to those laws, to those rules. Okay, so just want to be clear to the public and everybody else that we're just here to follow the rules that you guys set before us, and we gladly do that, and we have for a very long time in the industrial park. That being said, man, I think I might be too close, sorry. But that being said, I'd like to address what Mr. Schenker just addressed in reference to the effects of dropping those flyers off at the schools. I think it was unconscionable, but at the same time, I'm praying that it wasn't your intent. At the same time, someone has to be accountable for the damages that the kids suffered. I suffered myself as a coach at one of the schools. To have parents calling me, my superintendent calling me, before I even got to the school that day, about, the flyer that says I'm promoting cannabis in the industrial park near schools and near our places of worship. Some of this stuff is just, it's incorrigible. And I'd like to believe that you wouldn't want to have anything to do with that. And I'm going to ask, not just for an apology for myself, but to those parents, but most importantly to those kids. The amount of impact that had on the children at that school in particular. First of all, what happens is, we shoot a lot of it away. The guys try to take some of it off the cars, but one kid gets it. They take a picture of it. Look what Coach Bobby's doing, right? So that gets circulated. The picture gets circulated. My son's in college away in Pennsylvania, and he calls his dad, "Dad, what's this stuff about cannabis and you promoting it and this, that, and the other?" Not exactly what I call a great day for me, right? So today, right now, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to understand, Mr. Mayor, if I, am allowed to address her directly, Ms. Link directly. I'd just like to hear from you, Ms. Collect, that this isn't something that you intended, and I'd like for you to at least apologize. I'd like to take that apology back to the students. I think it might be important that you may be even willing to come to the school and address it with the school administration. I think this is important because I'm sure this can't be what you guys are about. It can't be. I wouldn't believe it. So if you could speak to it, I'd appreciate it. If you can't, I'll respect that too. I'll take your silence as, that this is something that you wanted to do in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you.
forgive me, to protect myself, the school, and so on and so forth. I've been directed to file a tort claim. I just have to let you know that I can't have anything to do with any of it. Obviously, the school is very concerned. And as Mr. Schinker said, there is an investigation. So anything that you could do to help in that investigation, we'd greatly appreciate. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Vicki Collette. I'm one of the candidates for Township Committee. I came in this evening and found this note on my door, and I believe that's the note that's in question. I do not see Link or Collette on here. I asked my husband where did this come from. He said he didn't know. He found it at our door. So I was away yesterday. I don't know when this occurred, but I have worked with children with various organizations, and me personally, outside of being a candidate, I would not try to harm any children because I have a child and grandkids and I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I had just finished doing a live presentation with the Boys and Girls Club less than 3 weeks ago in Atlantic City. And we talked about social media. We talked about mental health. I brought in experts, and I'm with a national-wide organization. So, me personally, my intent is not to hurt children, is to protect children, and to basically notify them of their well-being. So, I know you want an apology for whatever had occurred and where this was posted in the various schools that affect you, Mr. Shankner and Mr. Laws. Like I said, I found this at my door when I came in 4 hours ago. So this is the first time I've seen it. Thank you.
Hi, Debbie Kraus, 7400 Driftwood Lane. My question is about the zoning. Thelma, you had mentioned that you didn't know what all the zoning, all the different zones, AG, FA10, FA, you have no idea what they were when you were reading your literature?
Correct.
Okay. You've been voting on this for almost a year. And you don't, and I've been in here many times going over the different zones and where all this is going to happen. This is all going to happen out in Weymouth, out past Mispa, out off of Bears Head Road and Route 40. This is going to happen everywhere out of town. Everywhere that we live in a 10-acre zone, which is FA10 or FA70, which means one house for 70 acres, one house for 10 acres, agricultural zone. You were just in one. You were up at the Funny Farm. That is an agricultural zone. That is where agriculture happens. That's why we had set aside all these different zones. You were clapping for the man here who just got his approval tonight. It's up at my end of the woods. I'm up in a 70-acre zone, and I have a cannabis distributor. Why can't we put one right out on Main Street? Why can't we just put one there? I mean, what would that do? You don't want it in your backyard. I don't want it in my backyard. Can't do anything about HelloFresh or whatever that place is. But to be voting on something and not knowing what you're voting on or where you're putting it just amazes me, because you've been a stickler with anything has to do with expenses. I mean, I've heard you. You're into what you're doing. But to vote almost a year on cannabis and not have any idea what these zones mean, just blew my mind. The 2,500 feet, is that something new that just happened at that meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that property line to property line, or is
Property
it?
line to property line.
Okay. Not business to business, or, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the building to building. I wanted it property line to property line.
Okay. The other thing with, when you did ask Thelma about when all this happened, it happened a lot during COVID when people weren't even aware. We've lost our press. We lost meetings during COVID. We've lost a lot of information. I've talked to Art a lot about the information that we are just not getting because there is no newspaper. There is nothing that you can do unless you go online to the Township website, watch these meetings. Nobody's going to know about the Halloween parade except for maybe the thing over at Spoonie's Marina, the light up, whatever that is, the sign, unless the kids bring it home from school. That's when they're going to find out when, what is going to happen or what's going on. I think we need some kind of newsletter, maybe a bi-monthly newsletter that goes out. This is what's going to happen this month. Don't forget to come to the Township Committee. If you want to go to planning board meetings, if you want to go to the Halloween parade, this is the times that are going to be. We could just leave a flyer just laying in Wawa's or any one of the businesses around town. At Acme, people just pick them up as they're walking out, just like they used to pick up the currants. I mean, that's something that I think we need because I think that you're all getting stuck with being yelled at and being criticized for some things that you all haven't done that happened previously. The other thing I wanted to mention was he was here tonight and there was a lot of discussion on the agenda item about the cannabis issue. Where was the cannabis attorney, Emily or Mr. Malley? That's Mr. Malley?
No. One of the associates.
Okay. But we had there was a lot of questions up there and I didn't hear anything being answered. I mean, I would have assumed that you would have been asking the attorney. There were questions up there that y'all had about what we can do. One of the things was that there was a contract that was didn't have an end date on it. I've never been in a real estate contract that didn't have a date that you had to finalize things. You're talking about another 120 days. That's another 6 months that somebody has. And if it's not on that original contract, it means nothing.
Well, that's the Industrial Commission, and to give you a little bit of backstory here, our attorney, our solicitor before, Hank and Sandman, they backed out. They're no longer our attorney.
Right.
We have Chuck Schlager now.
Right.
He has not received all of the documents. He's still missing some. He's trying to get caught up.
Okay.
And I'm not going to put him on the seat and say, hey, what's going on with the Industrial Commission? And a lot of that stuff, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is for the public.
No.
So.
Right. It just surprised me when they said there was no end date on a real estate contract or a contract for.
I just don't think anybody here right now could answer that correctly.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Most of the time when you do that, there are endings to them.
Right.
And
some
of that stuff, like I said, is not for public
consumption.
And we're kind of in between solicitors.
That is what I'm saying, that the 120 days wouldn't really even make a difference because you can't enforce that with the contract that's with the industrial park. Because their contract, to me, if there's no end date, they could keep it for as long as they want.
Mm-hmm.
But if we rescind their application or their letter, then they'll probably walk away from it.
Then they would walk, because that's why they want to buy it.
Okay.
I would assume.
So as Mr. Law stated, they've given extensions on properties due to this. I don't know if you heard about the red-headed woodpecker problem, that they want to do a study, Pinelands wants these studies done.
All right.
And they take
So
a
it's
year.
really hurt a lot of people who are trying to invest.
Right.
We already lost one because of it, because they just don't have that kind of time. So it
So
does
it's
take
the
a while.
woodpecker and not the grasshopper sparrow.
No, it's the red-headed woodpecker this
They
time.
already lost
There's
60
and
acres out
also
at,
there's cultural. What is it? A cultural.
Right.
Yeah.
and then they have to do them
In
at
certain for
times
certain
of the
properties
year.
in there.
Yeah, they can't just do them like right now. It has to
And
be a
then, of
certain
course,
time of year.
I don't know if you ever heard of
That's correct.
Pinelands,
Mhm.
but Pinelands are involved.
I do Pineland, I know
I know.
Pinelands.
Perhaps you've heard.
And-
Perhaps you've heard.
Yeah, and they want to do the study at certain times of the year. So it could be next summer when they want to do it, yeah.
And like
So-
I said, it's very frustrating that nothing happened for all those years.
Right.
You know, we're trying to get something.
Right.
The three that are officially sold are, actually, there's been no shovel in the ground on any of them.
Right.
But they do own that property now, so at least we got the money from selling it, and then the properties we're getting the taxes on, but not very much.
Right, okay. That was it, thank you.
Thank you.
Just for the record, 3C wasn't something that we voted on. It was
No.
just discussion.
Yes.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I didn't vote on it. Thank you.
Take a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Is he getting up? Are you getting up to speak?
Getting up to speak? Oh. Sorry, there we go. I rescind my motion.
Yeah, the motion will be passed before I get to the mic. I think you answered my question.
name for the record.
Oh, Dave Lee, 325 Pebble Beach. I think you answered my question when you first started, when you said you were going to remove the two people from the fairways, from the seniors committee. Well, the two people, we're trying to find out what we were supposed to do after we filled out the paperwork. Now I see that you guys just passed someone, and I guess we were supposed to be here for that?
I'm kind of.
There you go. You're for the fair.
Yeah, we put in
Like
two,
me to
we
speak?
put in applications and then never heard anything.
When did you put the application in?
No,
What was the date?
no.
It should be on your paperwork.
I can speak if you want.
Well, you have to come up to the microphone.
I mean, it was just basically like 3 months ago. Dave and I, we live in the fairways, and we wanted to go on the board, and she said that it was filled because we wanted to basically petition the rent control board because we live in the fairways and we need some sort of rent control. And she told us that we have to come here, we need to speak to you, invite you to come to our clubhouse. We're only 3 people from the fairways. We have 475 homes there. And we actually just had a meeting 2 weeks ago. And we need some sort of rent control. Our rent is completely out of control. It's owned by Hometown America, the same people that own the Oaks of Weeman. They have a rent control, we do not. And the rents are just getting out of control, and the residents are very angry. People are having to move out because they can't afford it. And basically, we're just told from Hometown America, well, if you don't like it, leave. We have no cap. We have absolutely no cap on our leases. We own the home, but we lease the land. So we just want to know how to move forward, who we need to speak to. Ms. Fox told me that we need to petition the rent control board. Now, is that
We don't have a rent control board. We've already been talking about this. Brett's been working on this, getting information from other rent control boards from other municipalities. In fact, we were supposed to have a meeting tomorrow, but due to something came up with work, I can't attend. So it got pushed off. We're going to try to do it probably the following week. So we are looking into that. And if you're from Fairways, you already have a member, Bill Schmidt.
Which is Bill Schmidt.
Yes.
But didn't you propose that we could have more
Yes.
people from, so if you're shorthanded, Dave and I are more than willing to be on the citizen. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So should I give Diane a call tomorrow
Or just, you can turn it into Rita.
Rita, can you?
I just want,
Go ahead,
just for
Rita.
clarification, so that paperwork was turned into my office months ago. And once we started discussion, my understanding is you wanted to be on the Fairways own board to address rent control.
We don't have a board. That's the
This
thing.
is, our board is just an ad hoc board of volunteers for the good of senior citizens in our town. And until this evening, there was no spot for a resident. So if you want to resubmit them, I don't know if the committee wants to wait till next year or whatever, but.
If you want to submit them, and we could probably put you on at the next meeting. And then you'll only be
Well,
on for
and then
a
you'll have
month and
to
a half.
submit again. Okay, so you'll have to submit again for next year. But if you want to give me those, I'll accept them now. All right. Just email it to me tomorrow, okay?
And so we,
I might still have it, but I don't think so.
so we are going to try to do something about
You have to speak into the mic, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you are going to be doing something about rent control in.
There you go.
Okay, is that better?
Whoa!
So you are seeking some sort of rent control for our township?
We are looking into it, yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's really it?
Okay.
Okay.
Who approved that road work at Kate's and the Black Horse Pike? That intersection. It's horrible. It was redone.
When you make the
and
right-hand
I
turn?
mean, it's like you can have your car flying off the road if you go.
I guess, is that where the liquor store is?
When was that done?
So that was, this was brought up before, and it was when the state did 322.
Yeah, that's
And I don't think they extended in very far like they normally
didn't.
do.
So that would have been DOT, that's not the township.
Where the drainage goes right down into.
So we met with them about 3 months ago, and they are going to go back from the match line at 322 back beyond the canal's driveway.
Okay.
So that's on their radar.
All right.
All right.
Do we have any time frame?
With the state?
They didn't give us
Before the first of the year, because everything gets.
We're on the.
Yeah, everything
we're on-
gets done now.
We're on the radar, so they know about it.
Bob, can you look into that? Yeah. All right. See what you can figure out.
Jim is going to tell you about.
They just have to bring them up. Yeah.
Hi, real quick, on that subject, you might want to consider that in 2006 or 7, when I was on committee and the planning board, there was a huge meeting here, which drew in all kinds of people from the fairways, a lot of land use attorneys, a lot of other attorneys, because we had done a lot of work in looking into the feasibility of doing exactly what you're talking about. We didn't make it back into office after 2007, unfortunately, but that went away because apparently some lawyers, frightened people from doing anything more. But it is a matter of public record, and there was a lot of work done. Tom Palmentary did some, I did a lot. I'm just saying, look, don't reinvent the wheel. Please just take a look at that. You might find some insight there that you could use for now. Just trying to, make it's not easy, okay? I'm just offering a little bit of advice, perhaps might take a little bit of time away, off of what you have to do. Thanks.
Thank you.
Motion to close.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? We will be going into executive session.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we coming out? Recommend not.
No, sounds good.
Okay, we will not be coming out.
All right.
Score.
I don't know. Hold on a second.
So,
See, I
make a
think we
motion.
got this memo from.
Do I have a motion to close and go into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Motion a second. All those in favor?
For anybody that cares, the Phillies are winning 3-0.
Woohoo!
Top of the third.
I'll call you when I leave.
Not in front of me.
All right, we're in executive session.